Mitchell.
Campbell.
Campbell. Start again. Start again. Who's Ali Mitchell?
Who's Ali Mitchell?
Alistair Campbell. Take 2.
Ali Campbell.
Right.
I got the name right. Ali, this is the first time I've ever done this, interviewed somebody a second time.
Oh, right, okay.
Really, proper interview. We've had wee snippets of this and that.
Aye.
But it's appropriate today because you've just handed me your old Glasgow Life strip.
I have. It's
Because-
actually washed as well.
Because you're now, and I think we'll get a picture of this somewhere, Chris. You're now a pull-up player, I believe.
I'm a pull-up player.
You made your
Played,
debut last weekend.
I played for the over 50s
Uh-huh.
in a charity event down in Dumbarton. That's
Right.
my debut.
And then having
So
you
I played
back.
for the 50s and then played the 60s
Oh,
the other week. Then
see,
in
the
the tournament.
pull-up boy now.
And the 60s beat the 50s, just to remind you.
That's right.
2-1.
No,
I
the
believe.
60s beat the 50s.
60s beat the 50s, 2-1.
Won the tournament. I was refereeing, of course.
course.
That always helps. And now you can share in the glory.
I know. You can touch it.
Scottish Cup. Now, do you know what this signifies, this star here? I don't think Chris has seen this yet. He's been away in California. Do you know what the star signifies?
There'll be no point in that, it's up for.
That's a Scottish Cup winner. Yeah.
Oh,
Because on the day that we won the Scottish Cup, I was on the bench. I was on the bench. I was the third reserve cameraman that day, Chris, wasn't I? It was Chris and then David Kinnaird, and I was camera work as well. None of it actually made the cut right enough. But I got my star because everybody in Pollock's got one of these stars now on their t-shirt. The cleaner in here's got one. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, except you, I see.
I know, I missed out.
Ah, you missed out. So it's the big boys you're playing for now.
Big boys now. Right. No, it's good. It's really, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. Great bunch of guys. The organisation's fantastic.
The first time I spoke to you, you were just coming back to the walking football. Yeah.
This is the beginning of the year.
Are
Yes.
Are you implying that the organisation in Glasgow Life is not fantastic?
I'm not. I prefer not to call it.
Yeah, I'm taking the Glasgow Life team now. You don't know that, so
Aye,
that'll buck
okay.
up now. That'll buck up. Yes.
Aye.
The last time we sat here.
You'd missed me for a year. I'd disappeared off the radar for a year.
Yes.
Last
and
year
you
was
told
a bit-
us during that interview that was because of mental health problems
Yep.
that you'd been having.
Yeah.
And since then, and when we put the video up, we've had a lot of people saying to us and to you, thanks for doing that, thanks for doing
Yep.
that. People were openly grateful that somebody had, and what they were saying was thanks for being honest, because it's something, particularly we're led to believe in the west of Scotland, something that men don't normally talk about. So the
And
reason
they
we're
don't know who to talk to. They don't know who to talk to. You know?
yes, that's maybe more accurate.
And I think the point I made just before we started this was I've had a few of the guys coming up after during games, before games, whatever, and talking about it and basically saying I'm there. I'm either there or I've been there.
I've been there.
You know, and I went through, you've been through, and it's true that it's something you don't really understand until you've actually gone through it, what it's
Okay.
like. And the point I said to you again was, I suspect that out of our how many walking footballers we've got now?
On the west of Scotland,
Hundreds.
Yes.
There'll be tens, there'll be a lot of them.
Right.
Will either be going through what I'm going through, or you know, as some of these guys are saying to me, basically, I'm still depressed, and they see it, and the walking football is part of their caring mechanism, their coping mechanism. So it's
Okay.
hugely important.
It becomes part of their life that they use
It's
to.
part of life.
So let's look at if 20, 30, 40% of people, what triggers that kind of, we're saying mental health, we need to come back and analyse that a wee bit more, what you mean by that. But what triggers these things, these feelings, anxiety? We had Colin in here, Colin from Dalmally, and he revealed to us, unbeknown to any of us, that he suffered from anxiety and had done since he was a wee boy.
Right.
But he was learning to control it. He's 60 years of age, or nearly 60,
Yeah.
and he's only now coming up with strategies himself to cope
And that's
with
a tough one. I
anxiety.
didn't realise what anxiety was until I saw a programme on it. I
Right?
thought, my God, living with that every day. Every day you're scared of things. You're scared to get to bed. You're scared to drive the car.
Yes.
You know, it's just.
So anxiety, all these different types of things. What is, before we came on here, you said that things trigger that. What kind of events in your life?
Well, I don't think. I think that the really difficult thing for everybody for professionals trying to deal with this is that every single patient is unique,
Right.
right? Unique circumstances, unique genes, unique background, unique
Yes.
set of circumstances. The physiology is different. And every single patient
Unique
is
support
different.
network
Aye.
round about them.
And one of the things I wanted to talk about today, and we're going to, Chris has got put an image up, is having a mood diary.
Okay.
Right, now this is part of a therapy called cognitive behaviour therapy,
Okay.
which is big, right? So what they
Yes.
try and get you to do is, there's psychiatry, which is basically the meds, and then there's psychology, which is all the sort of talking therapies and groups
Group
and
therapy,
blah, blah,
yeah,
blah. And
yeah.
now hopefully walking football is seen as a sort of psychological therapy, right? So I tried the cognitive behaviour therapy thing, but it was just too complicated and too restrictive. But what I took out of it was the mood diary.
Okay.
So every day, and literally every day, I have a spreadsheet which we'll see at some point because it'll stick up on the screen. And just because I'm a spreadsheet guy, it's easier for me to do. So every day I get a score. So I've got a scale of 1 to 10.
Right.
So 10 is like a day that I'll remember, like if I scored the winning goal in the next cup final, that'll be a
Right.
10.
So that's a never day. There's never
That's
going to be a
never
day.
gonna
like that.
happen, right?
It's a dream day.
I have a few 9 days.
So you'll need to explain to Simon what a spreadsheet is.
No, you need to explain to me what a goal is.
So those are good days. Those are green days. Then I have sort of pinky days, which are sort of 5s and 6s, where I'm below par, but I can still function. But I'm down and I'm low, but I can still work and still go. You know, I can still function.
We wouldn't notice.
No, like
I think you were all right. But
I
quiet.
but like the first time we got together, I said, just meet me a sub today.
Yes. Yes. At Glasgow.
Remember, at Glasgow.
Totally going.
I was there because I had to be there, but I really didn't want to be there.
It was a great relief to me because you were going to be a sub anyway.
Aye,
But
that's fair enough. So that was a pink sub that day, and then there's the red days where I just don't get out of bed,
Right.
And it goes right down to the bottom where basically it all ends. So I've never been there, type
Okay.
of thing. So I've got a score.
So that's the dark places down there. Where
dark
there's harm
places. So they
involved
score
and
2 and
thoughts of
3s, and they're
self-harm.
reds,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So every day gets a score, and the key thing is in the mood diary is just I just write down notes. Now, as I said to you before in the first interview, I'd just gone through a year of badness,
Right.
and then we changed my medication totally in December, kicked in January, and suddenly within about 10 days I'm back playing football,
Right.
appeared out of the woodwork again,
Okay.
and that's around about the time we did I was only about 3 or 4
interview,
weeks
yes.
into the first interview. Then I had a dip again in February, March, which I thought was out of the blue. I
Right.
felt, God, because I was seeing when I saw
And you were still on the same meds?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I just woke up one morning and felt absolute shit, but didn't get out of bed. And you didn't see me for again a couple of months.
Okay.
And I only reappeared about 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So where the mood diary kicks in is it's the days immediately before and the days immediately after. What's caused this? And at the time I thought, when I was going through it, nothing's caused it, but there's actually just some wee domestic issues.
you look
but,
back.
but there were tiny domestic issues that suddenly became huge big domestic issues for me. And I think that's what caused the trigger. Now I'm back again.
Okay.
And I'm feeling really strong now. I think my medication is the way I've got the right balance.
Okay.
But the big thing, one of the big things is the walking football has been a huge change second time round because I'm now playing 6 times a week.
Right.
I'm playing every day basically. And
Yeah.
what is my fitness level?
7 days in the week, by the way.
Sorry?
There's 7 days.
7 days a week. I'm playing 6.
Hey, you go with
Wait.
your week, we'll go with your week.
Wait, I don't play on a Wednesday and I don't play on a Saturday, but I do a double shift on a Tuesday. I've joined the Drumchapel Amateurs session in Scotland.
What?
Play with these guys and it's
I
really...
thought you were a Pollock boy now. You
Yeah,
don't
I
mention
like-
that word
That's
in
not
here.
Colin Craig,
Colin
yeah.
Craig,
Colin Craig.
Aldo.
Coaching.
Oh,
Aldo. They try,
ruffians. The ruffians.
no, it's a good bunch of guys. That's that Tuesday. So basically, big thing for me is that I've got something I've got every day because one of my issues was even when I'm feeling good, I'm at home. I'm not working at the moment. I'm not really doing any work. I do some part-time work, but I'm not really nothing to do. So walking football now give me something to do every
Yes.
day.
Yes.
My fitness is going through the roof.
Yeah.
In
Wait till
terms
you
of
start
the
moving.
energy.
Wait till you start moving.
Wait till I start moving.
Instead
You know?
of standing at centre half there, directing traffic.
That's my cliche.
You start
just-
moving about, it gets the fitness goes up there.
Well, I have to say, I played yesterday, right? This is Monday. I played yesterday, and it's Andy Daly,
Aye.
right? Andy Daly's running at me straight away, trying to get through. Can he get past me? And he says, "How am I supposed to get past Big McLean?"
Aye.
And I thought, perfect.
You should have just asked me. the show. He's just actually like, how many times did I get past you?
Sandy Elliott, the reply should be you're meant to be walking, Andy,
know.
because he doesn't realise that he's meant to be walking yet. The big long legs getting the road. Doesn't take much to take the ball off at Andy. No.
Another thing, just I put down sort of notes to talk about this, and there was a sort of script, but we're sort of going, we're having a conversation.
Yes.
For me, and maybe a lot of other guys as well, is that I'm now playing at a far higher level of football than I ever imagined I could. Because
At your age.
No, just at yes, at my age, being able to.
What age are you again?
I turned 65 in March.
Right.
Right. But what I'm saying is that when I never stepped my foot on a football pitch until I was 19.
Right.
Till I was 18. I went to Edinburgh University. Right.
Okay.
But there was a guy at our school was signed by Celtic Football Club and things like that. But what I'm trying to make is that I'm playing against guys who are ex-professionals, ex-juniors. Frank McLean played against Willie Miller.
Mm-hmm.
When Willie Miller was playing the centre forward for Easter Craigs.
Right.
Now, when I was sort of 15, 16, 17, there's no way I'd been anywhere near a football pitch.
That begs
with
the
these guys.
question then, big man. What were you doing when you were 15, 16?
I was running down
No
a
recording
rugby.
now, we're off now.
I was running up and down a rugby pitch
Rugby.
with a ball.
Okay, well you got the build for it anyway. That explains quite a bit about how you play out there as well.
No, I just love the fact that I'm now playing with guys that I couldn't have laced their boots,
Yeah.
and I can play with them and be, I'm not saying the same level, but just be on the pitch with them and
Yeah.
contributing.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
everybody, that's what walking
And I think
football
that's
is about.
it's a great leveler. You know, that's a real attraction for me.
Let me ask you a question as a total layman when it comes to this stuff, big man, because some of the stuff you're talking about, I've heard rumours about and don't even know the terminology. I'm talking about the mental health issues here. How do you recognise? See how you're talking about a roller coaster there.
I
Your mood.
I don't sort of go down like this. There's a sort of what they call a cyclical curve.
Right.
Like this, it's like a bell, you know, this.
Okay.
I go like this, crash.
Right. So is that different for everyone?
I think
depending on what's going on in your life.
I think everybody's completely different.
Okay. So how
So
do
you mentioned somebody there. You know, there's like a couple of guys have said to me they were fine until their father. Two guys have said to me they were fine until their fathers died.
So there's
And
what I
they
was getting at. Bereavement is a big time. Yes?
Well, I think so.
Now that's important
And I was the
because,
same.
especially
I
at
think I've always
walking
done that.
football, everyone has either gone through it or they're going to go through it in due course, losing loved ones and parents in particular. So let's take bereavement as a trigger to it. You said to me somebody stayed in his bed for 2 years when his father died, something like that.
Yeah.
I stayed in my bed for 6 months when my daughter died, and I've got no problem. And I deliberately did it, but I don't think I was depressed, Ali. I did it deliberately. I said, "Fuck it, I'm not going anywhere." And I watched all these DVDs for every day, and I had one guy who stayed in a flat of mine, and he came round and just made sure that I was still there. But he never came in, he never spoke to me, he just made sure I was eating. But I deliberately switched my phones off and stuff. And after 6 months, I thought, she wouldn't want me doing this anymore. Do you know what I mean? Louise would want me getting back on with my life. And I consciously went and bought a business and did that. So the point I'm making is, that's a self-awareness thing. And that's what the mood diary seems to be about. There has to be a self-awareness to keep the diary. To be able to say, I'm down today. Or I'm up today. There's a self...
The thing is,
so see when you're down,
yeah.
it's a temptation not to say, fuck the diary.
No, I don't bother filling it in.
That's what I mean.
That's exactly. But the point is, I just know that for a couple of weeks, I'll just write every day down as a 4-pint day or a red pint day. I just don't bother.
Can't be
filling it in.
bothered with it.
Can't be bothered with it. Right.
So that's
But I
your
know-
clue. But you're aware
But
that
the point,
you're
the
going
point
through
is, I
something.
know it for those whatever it was, those 10 days in March where I was really low. The key thing is when it changed again, it's
What changed it?
What changed it?
What brought it back?
You know,
What brought you back?
this time round. This time round, again, really nothing sort of brought me back. It was Thursday the 10th of something like June or something. And I just woke up in the morning. Nancy was getting ready to go to work. I just woke up and said to her,
I want to play for Paul.
I want to play for Paul. I want to say tomorrow. I said, actually, no. She said, I actually feel a bit better. I think I'll go out and get some breakfast because I usually didn't eat I lost about a stone in weight just that period, just in a week. So she says, right, you really get yourself some breakfast. I went down at 8:30, got myself some breakfast, switched on Sky News, watched Sky News about 10 o'clock, and that was me. I was fine. I was back.
So you don't know why?
Don't know why. It just, but that's because I've got bipolar, right? So that's classic bipolar territory where it's big mood swings.
Right.
So I'm like jumping off a cliff. Either jump off a cliff or I jump off a cliff.
Okay.
So at the moment I'm in a nice, very calm, confident, stable environment. I've been like that for 4 weeks now. In fact, 6 weeks.
Right.
I'm feeling good. But my charts tell me that the longest I've gone since 2010 is 3 months.
Okay.
So my charts tell me that at 3 or 4 months' time I'm going to have a dip again.
Your charts actually keeping your diary.
Aye. I can
Looking back at looking at the patterns.
I've never had more than 3 or 4 months of stable mental health.
What are you going to do about that this time?
Well, this is the big changes.
Watch this.
The big changes. I think we finally got the medication right, and it was Alistair and Nancy that basically got the medication right, not my psychiatrist. So I've now got.
You've been going through this for 20 years. You told us, and that's you finally think you've got the medication sorted out.
Yes.
God. So what would you tell anybody who's looking at this and thinking maybe they've had a bereavement, maybe they feel a bit down, maybe they're a 3 or a 4 and not coming to walking football? Because there's guys we lose to walking football and we never really know why. What would you say to them?
Well, I'd say don't immediately jump yourself into antidepressants. First of all.
Okay.
Okay.
Because that's what the doctor will do, is it?
That's all the doctor will do will be write a line, right?
Okay.
And there are thousands of antidepressants. Well, slight exaggeration.
There's loads.
There are lots, right? And also, what a GP told me, my GP told me is very good, is that doctors and psychiatrists tend to stick to a small group of drugs
that they know. Yes, that
right?
makes sense, doesn't it?
So they'll only recommend 1 or 2 types of this and 2 types of that and 2 types of that. Now, the antidepressant which they finally put me on is called sertraline.
Okay.
Right? I'd never heard of it before. It's the world's biggest selling antidepressant. My wife works as a medical medical secretary.
Okay.
She spends half her day writing out prescriptions for sertraline.
Right.
It's the most popular antidepressant in the north of Glasgow. Alistair Campbell, who written this book that I wanted to mention, because I think people going through this could read. I want suggesting
So politician.
Alistair Campbell, the politician, wrote this book 2 years ago called How I Survived Depression.
Right.
And he's on 100 milligrams of sertraline a day. That's quite a lot. That's just double the introductory dosage. Now, I'm on 25.
Right.
In theory, it's below the therapeutic dose, which means therapeutic dose is jargon for meaning where the drug kicks in and has some benefit.
Especially somebody your size back then as well.
I seem to have a high sort of high-low tolerance intensity to drugs.
Okay.
So this seems now to work because I need something. So I'm on 25 milligrams, and my psychiatrist wants me to come off it because people with bipolar should not be on antidepressants. I'm saying no, I'm staying on it. Right. I know that's your textbook tells you that, but I'm staying. And Nancy agrees with me.
Nancy being
my wife.
Your wife. Okay.
So I've got a little dosage of antidepressant just to. I think I need something.
It's working.
It's working, right? And my sleep pattern's back now, so I'm going to bed at 11 o'clock at night and boom, straight through.
Excellent.
Excellent. But what I also now have is the ability that if I do have a crash in 3 or 4 months' time, we can up the antidepressant to 50, and he's even agreed to put me up to 100.
Is that an if, Ali? Or do you, after 22 years, do you not think it's an inevitability?
Well, it should be. I think the reality is I will.
Reality is the word I'm hoping for.
Reality is that I will dip again, but I think now, doing what I'm doing now with my life the way it is, and we've sorted out a lot of issues, domestic issues and things like that, where I'm now happily semi-retired. I'm starting to dabble again back in my technology. I've got a training course which I'm in discussions with about running. So I like running workshops. Okay. So I like talking, as you know. So if I could do a couple of workshops a month, plus I've got some nice pension money coming in. Nancy's going to retire next February. We're getting an extension built.
Right.
So life's all. My son's getting married in July. So I've got lots of really nice things to look forward to. So there's
this month?
July coming.
A year from now.
You know. So
and do you think Do you think that your stability, mental health wise, this sounds like a really stupid question, but it's not to me. Do you think it's really linked mostly to that domestic lifestyle, going to the walking football, your son's wedding to look forward to, you know, the house running plans? You've got plans now.
Big thing
You
for
think
me.
you've got a course
Absolutely.
that you're planning for,
Yes.
some kind of future planning to do?
There's a great quote I've got on my phone. It's a guy called Alexander something Russell or Chalmers. Alexander Chalmers. He was a journalist in the
Our
80s.
research team will find it. Don't
Right.
worry about that.
And his definition of happiness is something to do, someone to love, and something to look forward to.
Sounds pretty good to me.
And that to me sums it all up. It's something to do
Right.
during the day now. So I've got my work, my digital business.
Yes.
I've got my walking football, which is keeping me fit, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm you know, by the time
Yeah.
I've got lots of things to look forward to. We're actually sitting last night with Nancy working out our travel itinerary
Yes.
for the next 2 years.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
and we can do it now. And we've got the money to do it now, and all the money worries which I had,
Yes.
they've all disappeared. Son's wedding, so I've got lots of things to look forward to. So I'm happy. So unless something dramatically changes, Alexander, the Wolves thing, you know,
Yeah.
things should be fine.
Yeah.
I feel fine, you know.
I say to people, I used to say to folk quite often that were out of work when unemployment was a big thing in the west of Scotland, in the UK. I used to say to friends who were struggling financially, they were struggling emotionally, stuck at home too much, all the things that we're talking about here. I used to say to them, go and volunteer, go and put some hours in here or there or the next place. Have something to do. That's half the battle. A reason to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
That was my theory behind it. Or else there is a spiral
Well,
there.
Alistair Campbell basically suffers, he's bipolar,
Okay.
suffers from the same condition that I've got, but his is completely and utterly different,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
One of the differences is that when he has a depression, where he doesn't get out of bed and doesn't shave and doesn't wash and all that stuff,
Yeah.
it lasts 4 to 5 days.
Okay.
Mine's lasts 4 to 5 months.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Big difference, you know. But he fights it. So when he feels himself going down, he's got this thing in the morning. He knows that he fights it. He forces himself to go.
And
into
do you
a
not?
walk. No, I just give up. I just
Straight away.
give up. I just can't. I've fought it for years, Simon.
Yes.
And if I'm down, I just lie in bed until it clears. I just wait till it goes away.
And
And
that's
that,
your
that,
way
that
of coping
annoys.
with
That
it.
annoys. That's
Everyone,
my
yeah.
that's my coping mechanism. I've given up fighting it because I used to go into work. I used to drag myself into work, running a company.
Yeah.
You know, I used to get the subway in the morning and deliberately stand back from the platform when the train came in.
Yeah.
Seriously, just in case I had the urge to.
You're talking about taking on some business on a part-time basis to suit a consultancy
Like
stuff.
2 days a month. 2 or 3
Okay.
days a month.
So let's say I hired you for 2 days a month, or one of those days, right? And I pay you a few £100 to help me with my marketing, my social media, whatever it might be, because I know you've got a lot of expertise in that field. And then next month, I'm looking for you to help set up my new website or to do whatever, launch a product,
And I'm lying in bed.
and you're not available to me. How does that sit with you?
Well, I don't think it'll happen because I won't take on work or put myself in situations where I would be putting people down, letting people down.
If somebody's paying you money, they're looking for something. They're looking for
Aye.
something back from that. And you're doing it to make a few
Yeah.
quid and keep yourself. In the IT world, you need to keep on top
Well,
of
I think
things, don't
my answer would be that if that was to happen, because of the way I am now, I won't go into a red day where I can't get out of bed. It'll simply be a pink day where I feel awful.
you? So you've got some
Thank you.
power over it.
I'd be able to sort of say, God, I need to do that work for Simon, so I'll do it.
Right. So
So-
you've got some power over it, big man.
Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got some control in there.
Yeah.
If you could choose, make that choice to
So
say.
what I'm trying to do is when I crash, I just
I
don't
think my
fight.
point is that it's not crippling. It's not in control of you, 100%.
No, it's a fair point. Yeah,
It
yeah.
maybe feels like it sometimes, but there is inside you. Maybe now's the time to make plans for when that's going to happen. To say, I'm going to watch that thing I did with Simon and see what he said.
Aye.
So events. Tell me about the bipolar thing, because I don't really. Is that manic depression? Is that what I would
it's
call?
the current. It's the new term for manic depression.
Right, because I remember when I was
Depression is when you're really low, suicidal, and manic is when you're you're out of control almost.
And it
then
can
there's
flip with that.
And then there's a higher one called psychosis,
Okay.
where you think you speak in foreign other languages.
Right.
You think you can fly. You've completely lost the plot.
That's when you sign
dangerous.
for Pollock. That can happen.
Psychotic.
When you get that contract and that jersey on for the first time.
There's one of my friends called it. Sometimes I've been that. He calls it logical psychosis.
And the foreign languages will be handy when we start doing the international game.
Yes, yeah. When we start travelling abroad.
So so bipolar is just basically it's the current terminology for what was previously called manic depression. So I'm a classic bipolar.
Okay, and that's an unusual combination, is it? Bipolar and depressive.
No, they go together,
Right.
hand in hand. So it's mood swings.
Maybe what we should do, I don't know if we did this in the first video, but I know that you're more critical of the help and support that's there through the NHS than you're going to say here. Yeah, there's no profit in
I'll
it.
go on record. I'll tell.
Yeah, well, there's no profit in us going down that road because you would want to make a positive thing, you said to me.
Aye.
So where should people go for help then? Where can they get support? Where can they learn about a mood diary? Where can they get this stuff?
Well,
The research team will get on it.
One of the first things we're going to say is that if you do feel that you're into the area of depression or you're diagnosed,
If you're not right,
is find out.
if you feel down,
Find out as much as you can about it. Do your own research. Learn about your illness. So read.
okay.
So going to things like, just go to Google, read stuff or maybe Wikipedia. Just be careful though of the sources you go to, I would say. So avoid, personally I would avoid sort of online communities and health groups where people come in and start posting stuff about how they feel and what the remedies are, because you have absolutely no idea who these people are. And just avoid those. Like, what you want to do is to go to things like NHS, Mind, which is the National Mental Health Charity.
Okay. Sam H?
Sam H, absolutely. Right, those three, NHS,
Because
Mind.
Paul at Walking Football now subscribe to the charter of Sam H.
Right, great.
To let
Sam H
everyone
is great.
involved in
Right.
Walking Football.
And what you'll find there is things on, am I depressed? What is the first signs of depression? Things like that. And you can
That's what I'd
read.
like to know. Yeah, because lots of people, we all have mood swings.
Aye.
Yes. And we all feel shitty some
Aye.
days. Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely.
Clinical.
And we all go through traumatic experiences in our lives, whether it's bereavement or whatever it might be, ill health, all these things. So what I'm trying to find is how we know what's the crossover between
Well, I think the
feeling
crossover
shit and getting into
depression. I think it's either 4 to 6 weeks. If you've had low mood,
Okay.
where you can't go to bed for, it's either 4 or 6 weeks, that is the point where they say that is
Right.
clinical depression,
Okay.
and you need to go and
So
see
that's
it. You
useful
need to
for
see-
partners out there.
you
To
need
keep
see
an eye
somebody.
on each other, isn't it?
Aye.
And if we don't see somebody at Walking Football for 2 or 3 weeks, that should trigger a phone call.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
Not before me, I was away for a month.
I know. I tell you anything. And he's appeared back now. This was going much more smoothly.
So what I'm saying is, just go back to the thing about the bereavement thing.
Yes.
So we've all gone through it. Right? I went through it, and but I think if you're in a situation where you're still really, really low and you're off work and you can't go back, and it's like 6, 8 weeks in, then you probably do need to go and see a GP.
Yeah.
And you probably do need to look at maybe getting some form of.
Yeah.
And some
Well,
form
I
of
did that.
antidepressant.
See, when I said about the 6 months, and it was about 6 months where I didn't do anything. I went to the doctor and told the doctor, who offered me antidepressants that I didn't take, and he said, we'll get you some counselling, which sounded like a great idea. The counselling service that he put me in touch with, and this is common with them, won't see you within 6 months of a bereavement. They won't see you in the first 6 months because they kind of accept that everybody's got to go through that.
Yeah.
And only then can you start to put a plan in place to recover.
Yeah.
Because people think they're going to get over it, and that's the mistake, because you never get over it.
Yeah.
You just learn to live with it.
Yeah.
It's just a reality that you have to work round and accept and have strategies to deal with it.
Right.
And mine were all daft wee things, like photographs or or a visit down to Campbelltown where my daughter lived, or I've got her brother and sister that are still alive, so I've got other things, but they're my strategies that I put in place.
Yeah.
Nobody came and helped me to do it. And nobody
That's
will.
what I'm saying. It's a lot of self-learning out there, and hopefully what we're doing is we're talking some good stuff here, which I think
I hope so.
hopefully do it. So I think
There's nobody going to come and chat the door.
No.
See, the first 3 weeks that I didn't answer my phone or answer the door, it stopped after that. Folks stopped chatting the door and stopped phoning.
a lot
They
of my
got on with
friends.
their life.
Also, a lot of my friends don't. If they don't hear from me, it's
'Cause they know now.
They know
They
now.
know. Aye.
They're not to bother. There's no point phoning him because he's lying in bed. So we'll keep in touch occasionally. The occasional text, occasional phone call, but they'll wait for me to phone them
Yes.
to say that I'm back because that's how it sort of
It's
is.
him
you know.
back again.
But just to go back to
You'll definitely get a phone call from the Gordon McAllister though, because he's the treasurer, and if you're not paying your £3 a week,
Oh, I know. Oh, I owned up though. I owned
aye.
up.
And lying in your bed is no excuse. The £3 a week
Did
builds
you know
up.
he's an accountant? He
Who?
doesn't tell you.
Gordon.
He doesn't tell people.
Is that right?
He's an accountant.
Wow. So it's important that
So learning is important. I find it as much about your situation as possible. You know, read
Your
the
personal
facts.
situation.
Aye, just so if you think you're suffering from depression or you might worry that you're bipolar, these sites have got so much information on them, and there's checklists. So there's a checklist you could download. For example, am I suffering from depression? So you download the checklist, and it says, and you give yourself a score, and you add it up.
right.
And it will say up to possibly you are suffering from depression. Chances are, as you just said, it will lift.
Yes.
You know, so just bide your time. Don't panic. But if you're in any, especially if you get suicidal thoughts or then you have to
help.
go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've got an idea. Live. This is a live idea. And it comes from, we were joking a couple of weeks ago about, you know that film Shades of Grey, where there was a safe word. Have you seen it? You read the book?
Have I read 50 Shades of Grey?
Aye.
You're asking me if I read the book?
Yes.
No.
Live on television here. I don't believe me. Anyway, in that book, there's a safe word, apparently, that if things go too far, she can say a safe word and he'll stop. Right? And I thought, he's kidding, this doesn't he know either. And I thought that with us in the walking football, when somebody starts to forget things, hesitate when they're speaking, when somebody starts to show signs that their memory might be slipping a wee bit, we should have a safe word that we can say to them. We came up with a few choice words, right enough, but none that I can repeat here. But there's a serious point to this that I'm going to make.
All that you can remember.
See, when you start to feel, you said that it just comes bang,
I just go. I fall.
and you
off a
just
cliff.
say, I'm not getting up today.
I don't graduate. I don't feel. I don't go down. I go.
There's
I
no
just-
warning
I-
signals.
Boom! I
Right.
crash.
But you know you've crashed.
Oh, what I?
Right. How about a safe word? How about a safe person that we agree now that you're going to do one thing, to send a message to that one person and say, I'm fucked.
Right.
So that somebody knows.
Right. I would. Well, I don't even say. But I mean, if it was literally, I would just because I mean.
But you've not been phoning somebody. You've
No.
not been getting in touch with anyone. Nobody knows where you
Right.
are.
But no, now the walking football, I would because
Is that a good idea?
to be
Woke
honest,
him up anyway.
no, I would just. I mean, literally, if I felt, it, I would just text you, say,
He's still in
No,
California. Look at the face.
I know.
He got in at 11 o'clock last night.
No, I think this time round, Simon, if I was to have another crash again, and I know that it could go on for a couple of months, I would probably. I'm now using WhatsApp, but I've been dragged into WhatsApp.
Yes.
I used
I
to-
dragged you in.
I know you dragged me in, things like that. So I would just put a WhatsApp to you personally, say, look, I'm out the game.
Right, and what do I do?
Just you don't need to do anything. Just keep in touch, or I'll keep in touch with you, because I'm not going to do anything daft.
No, no,
And I've got my
no.
family there,
Yes. Yeah, you've got people that
you know?
close.
And then you can just say, WhatsApp me in a couple of weeks' time and say, are you feeling any better? And I'll just say no.
You two families now.
Aye, aye.
Well,
The thing about family, and this is something I was reading the other day,
And friends are hugely important.
I think it's women that are much better at this that I was reading about. That family's great and that support network, but sometimes a stranger is even better. I don't mean that we're strangers, but I'm not part of your everyday life.
No.
I don't know about your domestic circumstances, or, so I'm somebody outside
You're
of all
neutral.
that, totally,
Aye.
that's willing to listen.
Yeah.
And you can tell me anything without the judgment, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a difference from speaking to people that you spend your brothers, sisters, all that kind of stuff. I'd tell them nothing. So there you are, we've got a wee strategy. It's just I'm trying to think of ways that people can recognise that they've got maybe a wee problem brewing, or
Don't
the
panic about
anxiety
it.
even.
I would say to those going through it, don't panic. Don't think. This is it. Just
It's not an event; it's a process, isn't
Aye.
it?
you know, just talk to people. Read whatever it is I'm saying, Rod. You know,
Have a safe word.
whatever, you know, but get to the point that
Whatever.
they'll recognise that if you get to the sort of magical 4-6 weeks in and you're still really not in a great space,
Yes.
and you could get even worse, then that is the time where you really do need some sort of help and advice.
Okay.
And Chris was actually right, you're good luck trying to get a mental health appointment, but mental health takes priority. So if you phone your GP up, you will be seen.
Right.
That's a
Yes.
given.
Okay.
They will be seen, and they'll see you as soon as they can. You get an emergency appointment because Nancy deals with it all the time, right?
Right.
And if it's felt that you need a dose of antidepressant or whatever,
There's a slight danger here, Ali, that and I know we've always done it, we think that the NHS GP service is kind of uniform across, like it's not just now.
No.
And I know that through speaking to friends. In fact, my Fiona's doctor's surgery has been a nightmare, whereas mine have been really good over the last 3-6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of variation going on, and that must be to do with workload and different factors that are involved coming out of the pandemic. I don't know the reasons, but there's a lot of saying that you'll definitely see a GP. Some people will be shouting at the screen just now, say, "I try seeing a GP."
Right, but no,
But you need to ask for help. You need to go
because I know
for the
because
right
that's Nancy's job is basically to sort of.
help. So can we have Nancy's phone number then, and everybody can phone that?
No, but mental health takes. No, if they get a call through, they have to, you know, and even medication, it takes priority over everything. So that's
Right.
Also, I think
It's
Well,
one of the things with medication that that you need to stay on it once you start the course, kind of thing.
potentially, but no, it should just be a short-term thing.
Right. Okay.
It should just be, and everybody said I don't want to go on drugs because they don't. There's no real side effects. I've been on.
Dependencies
I
everyone's
have been on
nightmare,
every
isn't
single antidepressant apart from sertraline up to now, so I can tell you I've had virtually no side effects from at all. I don't get sleepy, druggy,
it? Everyone's different.
doped
then.
up.
Yeah.
You know. But having said that, and
But that's
I've
a
been
GP,
struggling
that's
with
a
it
professional
for
thing
20
that would be
years.
dealt with.
For 20 years. I've not had an antidepressant that worked
Right.
until now.
Now your 3 months is up in August, and the Glasgow Cup's in August.
Mm-hmm.
So
We can't rely on
can
you.
rely on you.
Oh yeah. I want to win a medal. I want a second star. My t-shirt's 2 stars.
That might help your depression if you get a medal or a cup.
Did I mention that we'd run the cup?
No, what cup is that?
It's the Scottish Walking Football Over 50s Cup.
So I was thinking it's not an actual event or circumstance that puts you into depression. It just happens.
Just happens. For me, it just happens.
Because I was thinking about Sunday there when I'd been away for a month.
And you beat me.
I've got a bad hip. I can hardly walk, but I still managed to skin you and literally, but almost literally left you for dead.
Did we score?
He didn't score.
No, I didn't think so.
No.
That was being silly there.
Well, what's your butt?
No, you.
Come on. What's the butts?
How many did you lay on? How many did you set up?
You did.
Oh,
You're a provider now, are
I
you?
should have had about 10 from my classes.
Right. Passes. Is this a new thing you've started?
As that happens, really.
What was your butt? What was your
No,
butt?
it was a good. Did we? I think we beat. Did we win?
Oh.
I can't remember. It was a really good game. It was a really good game.
Oh, were you in the same team?
No, no.
That's how you skinned him. Ali, don't let him ever mention to you. Just watch his video, one of his videos against Drumchapel. Watch that one. He's up busy the weather for the Glasgow boys behind the net. They let it in. Harry Watt to try and save it. That's do you remember him? That's really fascinating. A puppet on a string. That's going back.
Can I mention 2 books?
That was sure.
Can I mention 2 books I think people should read?
Yes, definitely.
Right.
Look,
Did you write them?
it's
There's no
not-
self-promotion.
It's not the 10%, is it?
No. No.
Oh, who wrote that?
Right.
Sorry,
Right,
that
on you
question about Alistair Campbell. Just try to eliminate causes here. So you're both suffering from the same thing. Is he an Aberdeen supporter by any chance?
He's Burnley.
Burnley. Oh, okay, that
Oh, it's there.
Shot that one off. Not that one.
No.
Well,
Really?
can't rule that out.
we'll narrow it down.
No, they do. No, the Alistair Campbell book's worth reading, and he's got a mechanism. He did a programme about 2 years ago when the book came out, and it's a jam jar. And it's this psychologist in America has developed this concept of your life is like a jam jar. At the bottom of the jam jar, there's sediment, which is all the sort of genes and your upbringing and stuff that is there, and all the bad stuff, environment, stuff you can't change. So you just have there's just sediments in the jar.
Okay.
And then on top of that, you have all your sort of life experiences and things. And what she claims is when the jar gets too full, you have a breakdown. And so what you have to do is extend the jar. So Alistair Campbell swears by this, and he describes it in the book. And he gives you actually an empty diagram of a jam jar. It just doesn't work for me at all.
Okay.
But just listening to how he copes on a daily basis,
that helps.
and especially when he was going through all the stresses and strains of when he was in the government and how he coped with that.
Yeah.
And his background, it's his brother, I think. He got a history of mental illness in the family.
Right.
So his brother was schizophrenic. A cousin committed suicide.
Right.
But he also got comfort from somebody that told him it's not genetic.
Right.
So it's just that's the way circumstances were. So the Alistair Campbell book, there's one copy in Glasgow. It's a Woodside Library.
Right.
But you can buy it off Amazon for about 12 quid or something like that. So I think it's worth.
You know what it's called?
It's called. Chris has got the picture coming up in the back of the screen. So it's called I Survived Depression. How I Survived Depression. And the second book, which is a great read for everybody, is a book called A Life Too Short, about a guy called Robert Enke, who was a German goalkeeper who committed suicide in 2010. This might start to ring some bells.
Yes.
But he was a German goalkeeper going to the World Cup, or he hoped. But his issue was he was a lifelong depressive.
Right.
And it's a fascinating book about his whole life story. It won Sports Book of the Year. It describes his journey from FC Leipzig through to German team. Then he got signed by Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
And his first crash was that he had a bad cup game, and one of the De Boer twins, Ronald or Frankie De Boer, blamed him publicly for them losing against this first division team. And what stayed in the dressing room didn't stay in the dressing room. So one of the De Boer twins went live to blame Robert Enke. And that was his crash. He then was bombed out and stuck over in Turkey.
Right.
Played for Galatasaray without his family. So he crashed there. And eventually he disappeared for a year. It's a spiral. And then ended up playing.
Scotland players suffer from depression.
He then ended up playing like for third division team in Tenerife.
Right.
So he rebuilt his life in Tenerife with his wife. And then I think Benfica came in and bought him, and he ended up. So.
And he got his career back on.
Got his career back on track, but he struggled all the way through. Unlike me, he was just a depressive. He was just constantly. So his life was either normality or depression. He never did any sort of high points. And his best friend was the guy that wrote the book called Robert Renge, R-E-N-G-E. He's a journalist.
Yes.
And the arrangement was, Robert Enke said to him, "Look, if I don't make this, I want you to write about my life and publish my story." And he didn't make it because he crashed again because he was afraid that he was playing for Hanover by this time. He was the captain of Hanover, and he was going to lose his place. He'd gone into antidepressants again, and he knew that Hanover were duty bound to tell the German FA that he was on antidepressants, and there's no way that the German manager was going to pick a goalkeeper on antidepressants. That still wasn't going to happen. So he knew his dream of playing the World Cup was going to be. So he just walked in front of a train one morning and killed himself. Life cut too short. And if you check out on YouTube Robert Enke, you ought to see some of the saves. He's like elastic.
Yeah.
You know, but he's such a beautiful guy.
Some more good saves on YouTube.
You know,
Elastic's not what I would use though.
aye, but it's a great read.
Have you ever seen a goalkeeper made of iron? Well, that's Chris Burt. Harry Worth.
I got a lot out of that book.
It brings me to an important part here. It's why a lot of people were coming on for the last video and saying, Ali, thanks for doing that, right? It's people that recognised what you were doing because there's so much stigma attached to mental health issues for employment. I'll tell you a wee story about my career. I'm not sure what service I had, but that we're going back probably to in my mid-30s, and I went to a sudden death and it was an old man that was dead. He was probably in his 80s. I don't remember now. And he had died in his armchair on a Sunday afternoon with a cup of tea next to him, watching the telly. And I ended up going to it by default. I was in the CID at the time, but there was nobody else available, and I ended up going, smashing the wee window and going in, and the old man was dead. And it was the most straightforward sudden death, is what we call them in the police. You couldn't get me. By that time, I'd been in the serious crime squad. I'd seen every kind of fatal road accident and shootings and murders and baby deaths, you name it, decapitations. I'd seen all of that by then. Maybe it's your jam jar theory, because none of that. I'd seen postmortems, all of that stuff. But the old man in the armchair haunted me.
Right.
I don't mean that he haunted me,
No,
but the feelings around it. I would wake up during the night, and that's who I was thinking about. And I thought, I need to go and speak to a police doctor about this. That thought lasted about 10 seconds, because there's no way I was going to go and, because it would be on my record.
Right.
And what chance would there be of any advancement in my I certainly couldn't have gone on to do the things that I did thereafter in the police. I don't think so, with that in my record. Do you think that's changed then?
Absolutely.
Because that's what we're trying to
I
change.
can give you an absolute example, because I'm currently employed by Lloyd's banking group.
Right.
And this was just, again, I was feeling good 2 years ago, roughly, to get me out of the house and doing something. The job came up as just working at the Bank of Scotland at Centennial Square. So it used to be the
It's
old...
gone now. It's a
it's
Rangers
huge.
shop or something now.
No.
Oh, in the corner?
The corner.
Yes,
It's like
yes.
the old Gorling's department store
Okay.
where I used to get my school uniforms from. Right, so it's huge. It's the largest retail bank physically in Europe. It's over 10 floors.
Okay.
Right, so they've guys in the doors, 2 or 3 guys in the doors, who basically point people where to go.
Right.
And the key thing is what the bank wants is they want the majority is people coming in to pay cash in or get cash out. So they want to use the machines rather than the tellers.
Yes.
So tellers do all the difficult stuff, where just use the machines.
Yeah, they
so,
point you there all
so the
the
job
time,
is basically meet and greet and pointing towards the machine. So I thought I could do that, and I applied for it, and I thought I had no chance of getting it, given the fact I was 63 at the time.
Okay.
But they actually took me on because I was 63.
Yes.
And because I'd got lifetime experience, and I needed
You look
something-
like a bouncer.
a bouncer. So anyway, I'm currently off ill.
You look like Alec McLeish. People would say Alec McLeish on the door at the
They-
back.
they-
well.
But they've been so good, and I'm going through a formal process with them to take me back into work now.
Right.
So I'm basically saying I'm fit. So I've had 2
So
occupational
they know
health-
what's been going on
They
over
know
the last
everything.
few years, right?
They know
Good.
everything, right?
Good.
And they've been so supportive,
Right.
and they've paid the salary, things like that, or as a sort of sick pay and whatever. So now that we're in a situation where they're trying to find me work which is non-stressful,
Yes.
because I just can't. I got transferred to Halifax, and that part of the chain, but it didn't work out because they immediately within 36 hours stuck me behind the counter, handling cash. I've never been trained, never seen the machines, never counted a banknotes, and the amount of, honest to God, the amount of money laundering coming in to Glasgow, it's unbelievable, and dodgy notes, you know, and I just couldn't cope. So I just
Aye. Too stressful.
out. So.
But they recognised that.
They recognised that, and they recognised that they had that duty of care to me. So shout out to Lloyd's Banking Group. And I think there's a lot of companies are now really enlightened. And
I hope so.
taking care. I think so.
And I don't think there's any choice in the matter here for companies, and I certainly hope that the police and the NHS, especially what their staff have been through in the last couple of years as well, are recognising some of these issues. But it needs the individual themselves to be honest, like you were, and say to them, I'm not coping here. I think most people try to cope and get themselves into a state and then go off sick and maybe don't tell their employer what they're doing. I've got a nephew that's working in university just now as a lecturer, and the amount of work that they'll pile on you as long as you take it. And he's thinking, I need to keep my job, I don't want to say no, and trying to juggle all these different things. Whereas you need to stand up now and say, wait a minute, I can't cope with all that. Because they've got a duty of care, a duty of care. And we've had Neil Lennon and other people come out over the last couple of years, high profile figures, and admit that, like you, they go down, they go up and down. And I think the truth is that most of us are like that in the wrong environment. and it's up to an
It's a natural
employer.
human condition. It's recognising when it's getting out of control. And that's what I think.
Yes.
This thing about the 6 weeks or whatever. Is at some point you have to recognise that things are you're out of control, or you're losing control, and you need help.
Yeah.
And get it, and don't just don't lie in your bed for 2 years without getting some advice.
And hopefully that stigma we're eating away at it.
Aye. Well, the fact we're
Because
sitting here
you
talking
said
about it-
illness, you said an illness, and that's what it
Well,
is.
it's an
isn't
illness,
it?
aye.
It's like anything else that you can catch. You know, it's like anything else that can cause you problems, and there shouldn't be any stigma around about it. You should be able to say I'm not well.
Aye. So I think to lead things back to natural conclusion, I think the walking foot for me is a huge part of my core strategy at the moment.
Especially now, Ali, that you've reached the pinnacle, really.
Yeah, well, I want my first medal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my second medal. I know.
Your first star.
Oh,
I'll show you this shirt. It's too big for me.
I've paid for it. I've bought me.
Oh, you got one? You
No, I've
got
paid
one
for-
with a star? God, I told you.
I've got the rain. I've got the. I gave John Campbell my £20 for my rain jacket and my T-shirt.
Right. Hey, we kid on, they're a lot more expensive than that. There's thousands of them out there now. Ali, hopefully over the next few months, what we should do, here's the safe word that we should do, right? The next time
I'm dreading to think what this is.
The next time you wake up and think, I'm staying in my bed today, you should message me, that's the safe word, and we should get the camera on and speak to you then. Because it's easy to do this when you're feeling good, when you're an 8 or a 9.
That's true.
I wonder what this would be like if you were a 3 or a 4.
A lot quieter.
Talk about it
Monosyllabic.
then. Talk about it then.
Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah.
Right, that's it. Right, that's a deal.
Okay, you're on. Thanks for
Right,
coming in and
thank
doing
you.
that, Ali. That's brilliant. Thank you.